Banks make billions from people who don't understand interest. But once you do, you can flip the system and take control of your money. In today's video, we are starting with simple interest because it's one of the foundations of how banks structure loans, savings, and finance deals. Learn this now, and you will have the key to smarter financial decisions most people regret not making sooner. What is interest? Interest is the money someone pays for borrowing, or the money you earn for saving, right? Or alternatively, you can say that interest is the cost of borrowing money, or the reward for saving money. There are two types of interest. Number one, simple interest. Number two, compound interest. Now, in this video, we are going to talk about simple interest. What is simple interest? Simple interest is fixed interest that is calculated only on the original amount, or you'd hear people say the principal amount. So the original amount is the principal amount. Right. Now, what are the real applications or use of simple interest in the real world? You see simple interest on car loans, short-term loans, and etc. Right? Now, the last terminology that I want to explain is savings account. Right? Now, a savings account is a type of bank account designed to help you store money safely while you are earning interest over time. Now, the bank or the banks, they pay you interest as a reward for keeping your money with them. Now, let's dive into some examples to expand on what simple interest is. Before we start, I just want to talk about interest. So, I'm not talking about simple interest yet. I'm just explaining what interest is, right? Let's say this is you, and here is your friend. So here is your friend. Let's say you borrow your friend 10 rands, right? So you're borrowing your friend 10 rands, right? So there is an exchange of money between the two of you, which is 10 rand. So that 10 rand is the initial amount. So this is the initial amount. Your friend will receive the 10 rand that you are giving to her, right? And there is an agreement between the two of you that when she pays back the money next week, right, the following week, when she needs to pay back the money, she will pay an extra 1 rand. So she pays back the 10 rands that you borrowed her, plus 1 rand. Okay, so that means she will pay a total of 11 rands. All right. Now, I want to explain something here. So, look at this. This is the initial amount, the money that you borrowed her, and she's paying that back to you, right? And there's an extra money that she's paying together with that 10 rands. Now, what is that 1 rand extra that she pays back to you? We call that extra 1 rand that she's paying back to you interest. So this is interest. We know what interest is. It is the money that you pay extra for borrowing, right? Now, let's look at this from this perspective. When you are borrowing someone money, you are investing. Let's say you are investing. So you invested 10 rands, right? And when it comes back to you, it comes back with an extra 1 rand, right? That means you made an extra 1 rand just for investing. That means when you invest, you make more money. Let's look at it from this lens. As a friend who is borrowing, when you borrow, right, you pay extra. So when you borrow, you pay extra. All right? So you're going to pay extra as a borrower. Now, that means if you go to a bank and you borrow money, you are not going to pay back the money that you borrowed alone. You also need to pay an extra amount, which is interest. And that is how the banks make money. Comment in the section below about a friend whom you borrowed money and you never got it back even today. Let's go. Now we know what interest is, but let's talk about what simple interest is. All right, what is simple interest? We know that it's calculated. So simple interest is calculated on the original or principal amount that you either invested or you borrowed. Okay. Now, I want to explain the formula that you use to calculate, right? Simple interest. So we've got A, which is equals to P into 1 plus IN close bracket, right? I'm going to explain the alphabets that you see right here. Is the final amount after interest. You remember from the previous example, we had 11 rands as the final amount payout, right? So that 11 rands, let me put it here. So that 11 rands that was paid is now A, which is the final amount, P. Okay? Now, what is P? P is the principal amount or the starting amount. Let's say starting amount. What does it mean? It simply means that it is the amount that you start with, right? So let's say the amount that you're given. So from the previous example, it was 10 rand. So the amount that you borrow or the amount that you invest. So that it is the principal or the starting amount. So we've got I, which is the interest rate. Interest rate. So the interest rate, you need to write it as decimal all the time. All right, let me give you an example, right? Let's say interest rate is 8.5%. How do you write that 8.5 as a decimal? What you do is you just write 8.5 divide by 100, right? So put that into your calculator. What do you get? You get 0.085. Okay, so that is how you need to write your interest rate. You don't put it like this. You can put it like that into your equation. The last one we have N. N is the number of times. Number of time periods, right? So this simply means that it is the number of times interest is paid. Let's take example number 1. Patricia invests, right? So she's investing 25,000 into a savings account, right? That means she wants to grow the money, 25,000, in order to save that money for university, right? Now, if the interest rate is 8.5% per annum, simple interest, right? So here you can see that it is simple interest. What do we need to calculate? We need to calculate the amount that Patricia will have after 5 years. Okay? Now, look at this. We have 2 options, right? Option number 1, we need to use the formula. Okay? Now, look at this. If we use the formula for simple interest, right, that will be A is equals to P1 plus IN. All right? Now, we need to identify, right, which one is P, which one is I, and which one is N. Okay? Now, when you look at your statement here, right? So Patricia invests the money that she invests or she borrows. That is P. Okay? So this will be P. Okay. Let's continue. She invests this much into a savings account in order to save money for university. If the interest rate, so that is the interest rate, which is I. So that is the interest rate, which is I. Okay? Now, let's continue. Per annum simple interest. So that simple interest, it dictates whether to use this formula for simple interest. If it was compound interest, we were going to use the formula for compound interest. So it just tells you which formula to use. We need to calculate the total amount that Patricia will have after 5 years. So we have another variable here, which is 5 years. So that 5 years is N. Look at the equation or the formula, right? You have P, which is 25,000. I'm going to go ahead and write that. So we have 25,000. And then what about I? Remember what I said. I is 8.5%. But how do you write I? You need to write it in this fashion. 8.5 divided by 100. Right? Always write it in this fashion. So that the answer will be 0.085. That is what you write here. 0.085 multiplied by N. What is N? N is the number of years. So it's per annum, right? Per annum. So the number of years, right? So which is 5. I'm going to put that as 5 right here. Now, put this into your calculator. Okay? What do you get? So what I get is 35,625 rands. Right? Now, what you need to do is to say, therefore, you need to answer the question. The question that you were asked is, calculate the total amount that Patricia will have after 5 years. Right? So what you need to say is that Patricia, when you look at this, I have answered the question. Patricia will have 35,625 rands after 5 years. So I want to explain this using my own way so that you understand what simple interest is. So I am going to put this into a table form, right? Excuse my lines. I don't have a ruler. So this is P, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. And this will be year 5. This is P. What is P? P is the principal amount. Alright? So that is the amount that you start with. The principal amount. Principal amount. Right? What is the principal amount? The principal amount is 25,000 rands. Now look at this. This is the 25,000 rands that you put into the savings account. Okay? And the interest is 8.5%, right? Which is calculated on the initial amount. Because this is simple interest. Remember the definition for simple interest? The interest is only calculated on the initial amount, right? Now, what is the initial amount? Initial amount is the principal amount, right? So we are calculating interest. So this is interest. This row is interest. We are calculating interest. So how do you calculate interest? You calculate interest, you take the original amount, which is 25K, multiply by the interest rate, which is 0.085. 0.085. What do you get? I get 2125. My interest. That means for the first year, for having invested 25,000 rands into a savings account, for the full year, I will make an extra 2,125 rand just for investing 25,000 for 1 year at an interest rate of 8.5. Year 2, because this is simple interest, it is predictable. I know how much I will have for year 2 as an it grows by the same interest. It grows by the same interest of 2125. Okay, so for year 2, what I'll have 2125 plus 2125. What I get here is 4250. This is how much the interest grow by every year, right? Because this is simple interest. It grows by the same interest amount. When you go to year 3, okay, you add 2125. Where do you add that? You add it here, right? So when you add 4250 plus 2125, what do you get? What I get is 6375. Meaning that if I keep 25,000 at the end of the third year, I will have an extra 6,375 rands into my savings account, right? So if we keep going, as you can see that the money is increasing. So the longer you keep the money into that savings account, that money is growing. Let's look at this. So we want to go to year 4. So we are on year 3 now. Because of its simple interest, the interest will grow by the same amount that you calculated using the principal amount. So this will grow by 2125. When you look at this, you take what you have, the interest you have for year 3 plus 2,125. You add them together, you will get the interest for year 4. Now, the interest for year 4 becomes 8,500. So the last year, you'll just take what you have for year 4 and add 2125. What do you have at the end of year 5 as interest? So as interest, you will take 8.5 plus 2,125 rands. So this is 10,625. This is the amount of interest you will have into your savings account. Remember, this is the money that you have in the bank, and this is the extra money that you will have in the bank. Let's answer the question. The question says, calculate the total amount that Patricia will have after 5 years. So in the bank, Patricia has 25,000. This is the 25,000 that she invested, right? So this is in the bank. So this is the bank or the savings account. All right? So the savings account. This is the money that she invested, right? So that is the money that she invested. Okay. Now, after 5 years, right? She will have that money because that is her money. The initial amount that she put into the savings account plus interest. After 1 year, right? She will have 25,000 into her savings account plus 2,125, right? So here you put 2,125, okay? And then after year 2, she will have 25,000 into her savings account plus that interest amount. All right? Now, we want to know after 5 years, how much will she have after 5 years? So we can see that after 5 years, the interest amount made is 10,625. So what you're going to do here is you're going to say your interest is 10,625, right? Add the two together. What do you get? What I get is 35,625. From here, right, we can answer more questions. Let's say, what is the total interest end? What is the total interest end after 5 years? You can see the total interest end after 5 years is 10,625. The other one, what is the interest that Patricia received each year? Remember, this is simple interest. That means each and every year she will receive what? 2,125. It will be the same. It will be the same because it is simple interest. But if your interest every year differs, that means that is not simple interest. It's something else, right? But if it is the same each and every year, that means you have a simple interest. I am going to remove this, right? And continue to answer the questions based on the formula. So this is what I use just to help you understand better what a simple interest is. All right, so we managed to calculate how much Patricia will have after 5 years. So what do we have? So we have 35,625. Okay, so that is how much Patricia will have after 5 years. Okay, now question number 2. We want to calculate the total interest that Patricia earned after 5 years. So I'm just going to use the formula to calculate the total interest Patricia earned after 5 years. So B, I want to calculate the total interest earned after 5 years. Okay, now what do we have? Total interest and, right, we can say the final amount, right? So this is the final amount minus the principal amount. Okay, now look at this. So the interest end, right? You take the amount, the total amount, which is what she will have in the bank at the end of 5 years, which is 35,625 rands, right? So this is how much she has in the bank. Okay, so 35,625 rands, and then you subtract the initial amount that she invested, the 25k. How much is left as an interest? Okay, so the amount that is left is 10,625. This is the extra amount that she will make just for investing money, 25,000 into her savings account for 5 years. The last part that we need to calculate is the interest that Patricia receives each year, right? So this is how much she received, total that she received for 5 years, right? So now I want to know how much did she receive each year. Remember, this is simple interest, right? So simple interest, it means every year you receive the same amount, right? So since she received this amount for 5 years, I'm going to divide it by 5 years. Then I'll know how much she received for each year, right? So what I'll have here is C. So this is interest received each year. So it will be 10,625 divided by 5. So each year she will receive 2125. So you need to answer the question, right? And say, Patricia received 2,125 rands each year. You need to write it in words, all right? And then here the question says you need to calculate the total interest end after 5 years. So you need to say Patricia received a total of 10,625 rands after 5 years. You understand? Yes. So I'll close this video right here.